All right, let's do a quick bench video for this because these aren't inexpensive. So this is a KitchenAid handheld immersion blender. I believe it's KHBBV53, and then the end numbers are just all the accessories you get. So if you got a KHBBV53 or even an 83, I believe it's probably the same. And what happened here is this hand blender is powered by, of course, 2 lithium-ion batteries. They are in series, which means it runs at about 8 volts nominal. But if you don't charge it for a long period of time, you might find that the included wall wart charger just won't get this thing going again. It'll flash rapidly red in the little battery window here. And what has happened is essentially your 18650s inside here have discharged way beyond what the charging circuit is going to handle, and so it just gives you an error code. And that means that more likely than not, most folks are just going to throw this thing away because KitchenAid doesn't make this easy to fix at all, which is too bad. A lot of these probably have gone in the trash for this problem. So if you want to take this apart, it actually is not terrible. What you really need to do is start with the top of the hand blender. This is what the top would look like. Of course, it's usually connected to that, but we're working on it right now. And you want to pry this top cap off of the blender. And I used a little spudger here. You can get under the edge and you can go all the way around. It will pop off. There are some tines here that grab inside, and unfortunately they're opposing, right? So they grab, and once it's in, it's in. What happened here, and this one was already loose, so I suspect it's been dropped, is 2 of those tines were already broken off. So I've super glue repaired those tines. That'll let me close it up when I get done here. But once you get inside the top here, there's a couple things that you'll know. As soon as you pull the top off, oh boy. All right, let's try that again. As soon as you pull the top off here, this is going to be stacked in here like this. And what that is essentially the switch mechanism that allows you to control the speed of the blender, and of course the lock-unlock feature so that you don't chop your fingers off if you're doing something stupid. So inside here, of course, that little circuit board sits on top, and there's a ribbon cable that runs up the back of the spine here and plugs into this. So you need to do a couple of things. First, you'll see I have 4 screws total. That's all you need to do to take this thing apart. When you get the top pried off here, you'll take these 3 little silver screws out. There's one here, there's one here, and then there's one in the middle of the board. Once you've got the board able to be removed, you'll actually be able to then remove the little ribbon cable. There is a clip on it, so be careful you don't break that clip off. Because that would be a problem. You'd probably have to glue it back in. Once you've got that off, though, you're in good shape. And in fact, I took this further apart than I needed to because I didn't understand how to get to the battery compartment. So now that you're watching this video, hopefully I'll save you some consternation here. Once you've taken the circuit board out and you've disconnected the ribbon cable, you don't need to go any further in the top of this. You can leave the button attached. This one will fall off because it's retained by this little plastic nylon thing. Not a big deal. You can clip it back in, and when you button this all back up, that will reattach without problem. And that will get you this top part. That's all you need to do. And you'll have a couple of parts here, of course, that are going to sit aside. Now, you'll see I said there were 4 screws. There's this black screw down here. And what happens is, of course, in their infinite wisdom, making this unrepairable, they've hidden a screw in what is otherwise a very disassemblable design, right? There are some little notches here that slide in, little quarter turn or so, and that lines up with the screw hole. And that's what retains the top over the battery compartment here. So what you need to do, of course, is remove the sticker, right? So peel that back. There is some sticky residue here that'll hopefully allow me to put that back on so it looks fancy again. But if not, it will work just the same. And once you've got that screw out, all you have to do is give this a quarter turn, lift off, and if you've freed the ribbon cable from the top properly and it's not caught, be careful you don't catch that little clip. It'll slide right off, and then that'll expose the battery compartment here. And essentially, the batteries are shock mounted and permanently affixed to the board. The board is a fairly simple charging design, and then there's some motor leads, of course, that run down into the actual motor head here. There's a little heat sink on this side too. So what I did was, of course, came up to the fluke meter here, and we checked the voltage on each of these cells. And one of them was at 1.5 volts, which is far too low for an 18650. You want to see at least 3.2 or 3 volts per cell, so that the included recharger will sense that the batteries are in good shape and charge them up again. So we had one that was at 1.6 volts. The other one was at 0.6 volts, and that's pretty low. That's there's probably damage to the battery. These are a small battery capacity. This is only a 1.5 amp hour battery capacity for each of these cells. So that basically means that we had 2 over-discharged 18650s in here. And really the best solution to this problem would be to desolder these from the board and replace them altogether with probably a higher capacity cell. That's a kind of a joke, 1.5 amp hours for a big motor-powered blender like this, but that's what they include. So you'd probably want to go ahead and just desolder these and fix them with new cells. But because I don't have a spot welder, and you can see that spot welding is how you need to attach these batteries together, I don't have the means to make a new pack for this. It looks repairable if you had some patience and you had the right equipment. I don't have that. So what am I doing? You'll find a little temperature probe. I've peeled that off, and I've attached my black lead down to the positive shunt here. This is the voltage checker for the bottom battery. So that basically tells us, in this pack, is this battery healthy? And then there's another voltage lead that will tell whether or not this pack is, or this battery is healthy. That's basically your balance lead. So I'm connected there for my negative, and that means that I'm actually charging the top battery using the bus bar there, or the spot welded tab to run up and connect my negative. Now on the other side, I'm actually clipped on the solder blob on the bottom of the board, and that is connecting me directly to the positive of this battery again. And what I'm doing is I'm using my variable voltage power supply here. This is a 30 volt 5 amp supply, and I've set this so that the voltage max is 4.2 volts. You don't want to exceed 4.2 volts in any case with a lithium ion battery. You'll cause major problems and you may have a fire, so don't exceed 4.2. In fact, in most cases, if you're just trying to revive it, you could probably set this to 3.2 just to get it up above the threshold where it will start to charge. But I've set this to 4.2 on my voltage, and then on my amp side, I've got this set to 130 milliamp. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get the battery back up over the threshold where it will charge using the normal means. And I've already got that here. I said that this battery started well below 1 volt, plugged it in with 130 milliamps. It's climbing slowly. And it's a good thing too, if you're doing this, if you're trying to revive a battery like this, eyes on it, wear your eye protection, be ready. A cell like this doesn't necessarily come back. And if it doesn't come back, it can get very hot. So you need to be ready, and you need to be watching this like a hawk when you're trying to see if you can bring one of these back around. But I think we're in good shape here. It is slowly climbing, and that's a good sign that we might be able to revive this. There will be damage to the overall capacity of the pack as a result of being over discharged, but I think that we'll probably be able to use the blender again. This is the lower of the 2 batteries. Once this gets up to about 3.6 volts, I'm going to stop, and then we'll go down and we'll charge our second battery there up to about 3.6 volts. Then we'll reassemble the whole thing by reversing the steps that you just saw here. I hope this is helpful. Honestly, these things are close to $100, and most of the things that I read online are that people put them away, use them a couple times a season, and the next time they get them out, they just don't work anymore. So that's too bad. So if you have one of these KitchenAid hand blenders, it can be repaired. It probably won't look quite as nice when you put it back together, but that might be okay for you to have your appliance working again. Good luck, and I hope this has been helpful.